Hello everyone, it's WarnogGamer4 here, back again with another challenge run video in Armored Core 6. And for this run, I'm going to be using the OG build, the C4621 build, the Loader 4, aka the Canon build. And that's the only thing I'm going to be using from start to finish. There's a few things I want to say before I start the run. I'm going to be simulating a new save file, so all the OS tuning is reset to 0. And the only way to gain access to that again is doing the arena again. Oh, and one last thing. Once I reach the end of the game, I'm going to be fighting the other two last bosses with this build, so look forward to that. And if you just want to skip ahead in the video and get right into the action, there's timestamps in the description below. Well, that's pretty much it. It's time to use the Loader 4 from start to finish. Alrighty, to start off the run, I begin the Legal Entry Tutorial mission. This intro mission just teaches the basics of the game. Most of it is easy stuff up until the end where you have to fight the tutorial boss. It's not that difficult to take down the attack helicopter as long as I incorporate melee attacks into my arsenal of damage. The only problem I had with this encounter is that the arena is tiny and I would frequently hit the barrier. Fortunately, this boss is easy to stagger and stays a long time staggered, which means I was able to take it down with ease. The next few missions in the game are just simple destroy the target missions. Right now it's very simple stuff because I'm still in the beginning of the game.
Looks like you got them all.
Oh, but don't worry, as the game progresses I'm going to be feeling the inadequacies of this OG build. But as of right now, I'm just enjoying doing these simple missions. Now after destroying the target at the dam, it's time to take on the giant mining strider, which I can just avoid the giant laser by going through the left side. And after taking out one of its giant legs,
Get on the deck.
I simply take the jump pad up and destroy the generators it told me to shoot at.
Destroyed. Mark it in your sights.
Then I destroy the giant laser eye without a care in the world. With the destruction of the mining strider complete, it's now time to assault the wall, which requires me to destroy 3 easy targets at the start of the mission. The first 2 were artillery turns, and the next one is a tetrapod that I successfully bullied for quite a bit. With those targets destroyed, now I make my way up the wall in order to fight the Juggernaut, which is one giant ass abomination of a tank. Fortunately with Rusty here, it's very easy to get behind the actual boss, so I can deal that critical damage in order to stagger it. Once it's staggered, it's just time to go crazy on it with all my attacks.
That's the stuff. Walter knows how to pick 'em. Not me.
But eventually Rusty has to leave and I'm left alone with this giant behemoth. Nothing much really changes from the fight, except that it's a bit more difficult to get behind the Juggernaut. Eventually, after spamming the pulse blade a good amount of times, the Juggernaut goes down in about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Not much of a difficult boss fight, but it is kinda time consuming. Anyways, with the assault on the wall completed, I now scan a few things for the next mission. Then deal with annoying invisible guys in the one after.
Stick to it like glue. You'll lose it if
These guys aren't very difficult to destroy, but they are annoying to catch up to.
I think there's more than one. Stay focused.
Especially in the next section where they're invisible and love to snipe you. There's also a melee version of the enemy that has a shield. But fortunately, if you stay up in the air, it's very easy to just shoot at without taking any damage. And once the shield is down, it's game over. With that mission complete, it's now time to conclude the chapter by assaulting the watch point. This beginning part is easy stuff, as I just need to destroy a few things here and there.
They'll shoot you down.
The middle section of this mission is now an AC versus AC battle against Sulia. He isn't that difficult of a fight, but he is very dodgy. It's pretty annoying to deal with at times, but once you stagger him, it's easy pickings. Now next up for the mission, I destroyed the target. Which leads me to the first main boss of the game, the Balteus, which for the first attempt did not go so well. Fortunately, with the recent update, the Balteus isn't that difficult to deal with anymore. But that doesn't mean the shield isn't annoying to deal with. Good thing my pulse sword is very good against dealing with shields, but I can't just use it all willy-nilly, as I need it in order to do the most amount of damage whenever I stagger the Balteus. For the second phase, the strategy doesn't really change very much. I just need to continue shooting at it, except this time around I have to keep in mind my vertical positioning. The reason for this is to avoid any type of flame attacks that it might try to use against me. Most of the second phase is just trying to do a whole lot of catching up to the boss and trying to hit it with my pulse blade. Near the end of the fight, I still had quite a bit of ammo still left in my Turner machine gun, but I had no more shoulder ammo. And after the shield went down, after the numerous amount of bullets that I shot at it, I ended with the pulse blade and the Balteus is defeated. The battle took about 3 minutes and 27 seconds to complete, and I also suffered 1 death. Now it's time to go into chapter 2 where I destroy Invincible Rummy, then deal with whatever Carla decides to throw at me, and also use the traps that she placed down for my benefit. And after cleaning up whatever else was still active after that trap backfire, it's now time to fight the Smart Cleaner. At first I thought this boss was going to be a nightmare to deal with, because of my unfortunate lack and amount of firepower. But as long as I kept the pressure up by attacking its weak spot, I was eventually able to stagger it, then dealt a good amount of damage using my pulse blades. The damage I dealt with my melee weapon is pretty damn good. But I have to continue exercising caution because I can just get melted out of nowhere if I'm not too careful. Most of the rest of the fight is just me shooting the weak spot and doing a good amount of chip damage. It might not look like a lot, but as time went on, another 1/4 of the boss's health was just gone. And after getting bullied into a corner for a bit, then get vomited on by molten slag, I was eventually able to stagger it again. The battle against the Smart Cleaner took about 3 minutes and 7 seconds to complete, and I only failed 1 time, which was me getting wombo comboed to death. Now for the next mission, I just gotta destroy a few mechs, and after that it's time to conclude the chapter. Man, chapter 2 is such a very short chapter. Also, this mech's energy capacity is very short as well. After avoiding the lasers and dealing with the pests inside of the boss arena, next up on the to-do list is to fight the sea spider. For most of the fight, it was just me enacting the ring around the rosy strategy. As long as I keep myself moving, I make myself a difficult target to hit. Also, I need to stay close to the boss in order to keep on pulling out melee attacks, as well as avoiding the possibility of my bullets ricocheting off the enemy. I continue doing this until I reach the second phase. And after the sea spider turns to a giant mechanical pea hat of doom and death that shoots lasers, I staggered the boss as fast as I could in order to do a good amount of damage, and fortunately the boss stays staggered for quite a while in this phase. But after that I played a bit more cautiously as I had no more repair kits. The rest of the fight is me trying to avoid the boss's projectiles, and its very intimidating spin to win attack. After chipping away enough health with my ranged options, I ran out of missiles and eventually just decided to go on offense to try to finish the fight. The battle against the sea spider took about 3 minutes and 29 seconds. And I also finished it in my first attempt, meaning that I died 0 times. That's quite the miracle. Now it's time to yeet myself across the ocean. And now it's time to start completing missions for Chapter 3. Also, the PCA faction is introduced in this mission. And I give them a warm welcome by destroying billions of dollars worth of equipment. With the first mission of Chapter 3 over, it's time for the next one where I just go into a cave, shoot a horribly guarded device that has nearly no security whatsoever, then I leave the Kool-Aid caves before I get caramelized into scrap. The next mission afterwards is a not so stealthy stealth mission, where the enemy uses the oldie vintage cameras to try to take pictures of me, then fight the assassination target Swinburne, which after beating the hell out of him, he asks for mercy, which I say no. Afterwards, I nearly died by him, but eventually I take him down by just shooting him enough times. Now it's time for the next mission, where I shoot a few fuel canisters, then this giant reactor looking thing, then fight against 2 annoying mini-bosses. 2 dangerous PCA Special Forces pilots. I did not have a great time fighting these guys with the OG build. Most of these deaths are caused by getting easily staggered, then stun locked, then just getting deleted. So I did my best to try to separate the 2 in order to eliminate them one at a time. The melee one would easily stun me, so he's the first one to get taken down. With one of the partners down, it's now time to deal with the other one that loves to do hit and run tactics. But unfortunately for him, I'm also good at using hit and run tactics. It also helped that he got stuck on the terrain at the end. And now with the PCA Special Forces defeated, it's time to go into the next mission, which is pretty much Silent Hill Gundam Edition. Then fight the heavy enemy attack helicopter again. Except this time around, it just loved going out of bounds. And because of that, I was pretty much just peppered to death in the first attempt. In the second attempt, it actually decided to stay inside the play area, which gave me opportunity to hit it with my pulse blade a few times. I also used these little guys for a bit of help in the battle. Just like the tutorial version of this boss, it's easy, but I gotta catch up to it first. And after a while it goes down and the mission is complete. The next story mission I have to complete is protecting 3 nukes. And with the low amount of firepower of the build, I almost lost to one of them. Good thing the mission ended near the 40-second mark instead of the 0. Now the next mission is dealing with the enforcement squads inside of the wall. For this first part, I have to deal with a couple of SGs that hit very hard. The next part is dealing with LCs that have shotguns with them. They fortunately don't have a lot of health, but they love to dodge. And for the final part of the mission, I had to deal with an annoying HC. Most of the times when I get to this part, I have half of my health and only have 2 repair kits remaining. I died quite a couple of times against this guy. And that's because my AC does not have a sufficient amount of firepower to deal with these kinds of enemies, especially if they love to stay behind their shield. Also, getting shield bashed in the face is not a fun experience. Because of this, I think it's now time to go into the arena and start to climb up the ranks, which allows me to use the OST chips that I locked myself out of using. For most of these fights, it was easy to take down the enemy AC. But if they had a shield, I would actually struggle a bit against them and would die a few times. I battled in the arena up until the final D rank evaluation. With the quote-unquote unlocked OST chips, I used them on direct hit modifier and damage mitigation. But even with these new upgrades, it didn't just give me the win outright. I still had to earn it fighting against this annoying HC. But at least the fight went by a little bit more smoother.
That comms interference must have been your work too, Interloper. You've made a big mistake, Burke.
And after nearly dying while fighting the HC, I was able to stagger it, then take it down. With that mission complete, it's now time to attack the old spaceport, which requires me to take down a bunch of docked warships, a bunch of snipers that have low situational awareness, and then 2 active warships that were easy to take down just as their docked versions. With the warships destroyed, it's now time to fight against 2 big PCA mechs, and fortunately Rusty is here to help. While he deals with the fast and annoying one, I have to deal with the hard-hitting and dangerous one, which was able to take me down a few times, unfortunately.
These are elite PCA enforcers, buddy. Don't give them an opening. We're losing control of the situation.
But once the melee one is defeated, the arrow one is pretty much just a mosquito. It absolutely loves to zoom around the battlefield, but is very fragile on the health department. And now with the 2 mini-bosses defeated, it is time to get introduced to the giant ice worm. And now it's time to go back to the arena for me. I was actually having a fun and easy time against these new arena opponents. Also by this point I got used to fighting with the OG build quite a bit better. But that's when Carla decides to ruin the fun with her stupid missile spam. But it's nothing a few slashes of my pulse blade can't fix. And after a few more failures, I pretty much just cleaned up the rest of the arena up until Honest Brutes. And with that done, I upgrade my weapon and melee damage a bit, fully upgrade direct hit modifier, add a bit more damage mitigation, and also I improved my repair kits. Now it's time to continue doing missions such as scanning stuff for Ayre, deal with the real Honest Brute who is annoying with his flamethrower, which is actually kind of distracting for me in the fight, just because I can't see him through the flames. After eliminating Honest Brute, it's now time to fight against Nightfall Raven. In this fight, it's time to show the power of the Loader 4. Nightfall Raven might have the better weapons, but I am the superior AC pilot. But that's as long as I don't get hit by his songbirds.
At least not yet.
2 repair kits remaining.
To choose what one fights for.
Just focus on the fight, 621.
At 50%.
And after taking a quad missile to the face, Nightfall Raven goes down. And after showing the superiority of the Loader 4, it's now time to fight against the Ice Worm. I know that this mission allows me to bring the stun needle launcher, but I'm not going to use it. But unfortunately that also means that I'm going to have to restart my runs if I feel like I don't have enough ammo. Or if I die, of course. The lack of ammo also means I have to find a way to incorporate melee attacks in order to take down the shield.
I ain't here because I'm... Where's that
which after a bit of trial and error, I found out that I can pulse blade it as long as it doesn't hit me while it's trying to slam me. I also have to do it fast because if not, I will get hurt hard. And if I had to get hit, I would usually just restart the attempt.
50%.
Even the bullshit hits as well. So to start off the fight, I will usually just shoot it with my machine gun and missiles. And I would only shoot when I knew those shots would land. But still, I would have to conserve ammo for the final part. And whenever it would try to slam me, I would quickly just speed away and melee attack it once it's finished its final slam. And now all I have to do is continue having good positioning and repeat the strategy over and over. Also, another good time to hit it with my melee weapon is whenever it would try to slide across the battlefield. But of course I need to hit the face and not the side of it in order to do damage.
Primary shield disabled.
And after dealing damage to itself for the second time, in its third and final phase, I can no longer do damage to it with my melee weapon unless I want to take massive damage myself. Now it's time for me to shoot at it the old-fashioned way. Good thing I was saving up a lot of ammo for this part. And even though it attacked me with some very scary body slams, and would sometimes hit me with its very long lightning strikes, it was a somewhat difficult but very slow part of the fight.
Right-hand shoulder initiative 50%.
But after a good long while and a numerous amount of bullets and missiles, I was able to take down its third and final shield.
Primary shield down.
All or nothing.
And after a good old rail cannon to the side, the worm goes down and now I start the final damage phase. And with a few seconds to spare in the damage phase, I was able to take down the worm. The fight against the ice worm took about 21 minutes and 13 seconds. I died only 2 times, but I did retry about 12 times. With the ice worm defeated, it's now time to make my way down a very scary drop, which is filled with complementary missiles and lasers on the way down. Then I destroyed the neck of the mechanism now shooting me. Then it's time to do the next mission where I pretty much just avoid everything, shoot at an annoying bug called Iguayasu, then continue speedrunning through the rest of the mission,
That weapon must be guarding this step.
trying to ignore any type of conflict that gets in my way,
I forced the partition.
which was going pretty great until I have to fight the boss at the end of here. The Enforcer here is a very dangerous boss. Just trying to fight the boss at range with my type of speed would more often than not lead me to the loading screen around the final 1/3 of the fight. And staying around close range would leave me vulnerable to the very hard hitting attacks. There's that or getting microwaved to oblivion. So if staying around medium and close range is not the strategy, then what is? Well, to answer that was the strategy of being right up in its ass. In other words, I would always try to be within melee range. Hey, it's pretty much extra close range, but it worked out. Not only that, but I would try to manipulate the boss's movement to try to get stuck in a corner. Which gave me good opportunities to hit it with my pulse blade. Also, whenever he would try to quick boost around me, I would always try to follow him so he couldn't get away from me. The fight against the Enforcer lasted about 1 minute and 42 seconds, and I died around 16 times. With the Enforcer defeated, it's time to continue doing missions like going inside of a reactor core, go inside of its pressure chamber to destroy a bunch of security, and that includes an annoying and flashy moonlight mech, then escape the core before it explodes. For the next mission, I decided to go with the assassination of G1 Michigan. For this mission, I decided to go with reserving as much ammo as I could, and deal with the ads before I deal with Michigan. And once most of them are destroyed, it's just me, Michigan, and a random ass tetrapod. Whenever the tetrapod would appear in a fight, I would usually just leave and have Michigan follow me to another section of the area. Michigan fortunately wasn't much of a problem to deal with, but he does hit pretty hard, so I had to be careful. But once he's dealt with, I pulse blade my way through the last tetrapod, and the mission's over. For the next mission, I have to deal with an unknown mech that's following me, which is V4 Rusty, who was much easier to deal with than Michigan.
2 repair kits remaining.
You're sharp. That's not the only thing that makes you dangerous. I fought alongside you several times, but I never could figure you out.
Makes me even wonder how he defeated Michigan if I decide to take the alternate path of helping Flatwell. Anyway, Rusty puts himself in a corner and I end it right there. Great, now next mission I gotta explore the hidden city. But before going any further, I have to take down V6 and G3. They just love using their shields, but good thing this is a close range environment so I can just blade my way right through them.
1 repair kit remaining.
With those enemy ACs destroyed, I take out a metal bone wheel on a bridge. Then I replenish my supplies for the upcoming fight, which is going to be the boss Cell 240. Now this fight wasn't as bad as the Enforcer fight, but I did fail around the same amount of times. Some of the Loader 4 shortcomings are showing again here in this fight, but this time it's mostly from the lack of firepower. At the start of the fight I get some good pulse blade slashes off, but unfortunately the 2 swipes are not enough to stagger it. And because of that I try to get close and keep up the pressure. And once the boss gets staggered, I use my blade to do a considerable amount of damage. And then I just repeat that cycle until I reach phase 2.
AP at 30%.
Focus 621.
In the second phase, I try to repeat the same process as the first, but with extra caution because the boss now has new attacks that it throws in. Not only that, but it seems like it recovers a bit faster from its own attacks as well. The damage that I inflicted for most of this phase was just me shooting at it rather than hitting it with my pulse blade. But whenever I could, it hit hard.
You've nearly got it, 621. You're the only one who can finish the job.
Eventually I was able to finish it off and Cell 240 is defeated. The boss took about 3 minutes and 45 seconds to defeat, and I failed 14 times.
621.
Right shoulder negative.
621. Like 621. 621. Towards you. 621. Ordinary weapons. They're designed to prevent coral disasters. 621.
Right shoulder ammunition at
621.
50%. AP at 30%.
621. You can take it, 621. 621. 621.
Well, with the boss defeated, I now get captured, and then get forced into a shitty ass mech. And because this isn't the Loader 4, I'm just gonna stuff my way around the area, and I'm not gonna be causing any damage with this AC. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave all the damaging up to Carla when she comes to help me. With the jailbreak mission over, it's now time to defend 2 towers. It was a bit difficult to keep up with this mech, but I was able to manage. With that mission over, I now decide to finish up the arena. And fortunately for me, I didn't have much trouble dealing with the final ranks.
AP at 50%.
With the OST chips that I've unlocked, I've almost finished up with my damage and defense. And I also put an extra chip into the boost kick. And now for this run, I decided to go with the bad ending. So I'm here to help Cinder Carla. Good thing for this mission is that I can ignore most of the enemies and deal with the ones that are targeted. One of which is this annoying HC that just loves to hide behind its shield.
Two, sir. B1 ready to... I told you not to bother me, Grunt. Handle it.
Luckily for me, I was able to take him down in my first try. Now it's time to do a bit more cleanup on the enemy forces. And now lastly for the mission, I had to deal with V1,
Ever sparred with
which the first attempt didn't go so well.
no?
The second attempt went by much smoother.
AP at 50%.
I did get rocketed in the face a few times though. But after with enough bullets of the Turner machine gun, he goes down.
What now?
Now it's time for the next mission where I had to deal with a fleet of warships.
Interceptor to go down.
Good thing they're made out of military grade paper mache because they're very easy to take down.
9.
And now it's time to fight against the new and improved Rusty.
New AC.
And honestly, the only reason why he's much more difficult to deal with is because of the little orbital turret that he has on him now. Seriously, that thing just easily staggers me.
It's too.
Seriously, it's very good at staggering me.
At 30%.
So for most of the encounter, I would just fight him like normal.
AP at 50%.
Sacrifice something.
but whenever the little orbital will pop up, I will try to keep my distance. Also, whenever I felt uncomfortable with how the fight was going, I will quickly withdraw. And after he tried to rush me, I just pulse bladed him and he went down. And now with Rusty defeated, it's now time for the last boss for the bad ending, which is the waifu that was living in our head the entire game, Ayre. Okay, so Ayre is the second most annoying boss I had the displeasure of fighting in this challenge run. She's very good at chipping down my health with her projectiles. Not only that, but the arena's terrain messes up with my dodging a bit. She also hits hard and fast and is sometimes difficult to keep up with. And she also just loves to boost around the arena. When I first started fighting her, I thought I was just gonna whittle down the shield with my bullets, and a few rockets here in between. But unfortunately I can't do that because her shield actually regenerates. I don't know if any other boss has that benefit, but it's much more noticeable with her. But because of that recharge ability, I can no longer shoot down her shield like originally planned, little by little. So that means I have to focus on using my melee against her. And the only time she gives me a freebie to melee attack her is whenever she goes in for melee herself. And then still I can only hit her with one uncharged swipe. But once the shield goes down, I try to unleash as much hell as I can. And now I just repeat this process, making sure to shoot her at the same time as well, because I don't want that shield to recharge. And once I get into the next part of the fight, I do a little cheeky charged swipe to start off the next phase. The good thing about the second phase is that she no longer has her coral shield, but now I gotta deal with shadow clones and her zooming around the entire battlefield. But after a good amount of tries, I finished the fight by kicking her ass figuratively and literally. And with that, Ayre goes down in about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Oh, and I also suffered a 28 deaths. And now with the game over, you'd think I stopped there. But that's the problem. I wish I did. Because now it's time to fight two other final bosses. The one for the good ending, which is Walter, and the one for the true ending, which is ALLMIND.
Dispose of you.
Alright, so for the fight against Walter, it's not that much different than fighting an enemy AC. Sure, he is annoying, but it's still pretty easy to stagger him, which is what I want so that the pulse blade can do work. It was a pretty close fight because I was stuck in low health for about a minute. But after dodging enough red homing worms, and any beam shot that would instantly send me to the loading screen. I take Walter out with a very risky melee attack. The fight lasted about 2 minutes and 14 seconds, and fortunately I only died once. And with Walter defeated, it's time for the last true challenge of this run. But that's probably for me at least. And now it is time to fight ALLMIND. I did not have a good time fighting ALLMIND. The fight has just too many damn variables in it. It's a 3-part boss fight, where the first part is an AC versus AC battle, but it's an unfortunate 5v1 where the odds are stacked against me. Not only that, but AC ALLMIND Iguayasu just loves to hide behind the shield. The next part is ALLMIND, but this time in a better mech, but with 2 damn disease spiders. This part provided some of the most bullshit deaths.
What the fuck?
I said I don't care about ALLMIND.
What the fuck?
This goes to me, won't.
And the final part is just Iguayasu. And the amount of times that I bloody died in this fight is absolutely insane. So much so that I actually started to rage pretty bad.
This goes to me won't last long. Leave a spot for me. I know how this goes. This is where that. This goes to me won't last long. Leave a spot for me in it. This goes to.
But after hours and hours of suffering, I beat the boss. But there's one problem with that. It's that I forgot to record the entire fight. I didn't even record it.
What awaits us on the other side?
I didn't even record it.
Irregular.
This goes to me won't last long.
I finished
Leave a
it.
spot for me in hell.
But after all that suffering, raging, and hopelessness, I was able to beat this boss again. And thank God it only took 3 attempts after my user error. Alright, so for the first part of the fight, I would take care of the little melee ACs. And thankfully for this attempt they decided not to charge their melee strikes. And after those 2 are dealt with, I just ignored the other 2 mini ACs, and I just focused all my attention on ALLMIND. Oh yeah, and quick note, this fight, everything except for the face transition is unedited. I would also try not to use a lot of missiles for this part because I would really need them for later.
Guess it's time.
Raven. ALLMIND's when you try something. I've got an idea too.
I also needed to prioritize dodging because I would need as much health as I could get. And with ALLMIND's AC destroyed, it's now time for the next part.
Damn noise. It was you all along.
Alright, so for this phase of the fight, I really had to rely on Ayre to help me. She actually puts a decent amount of pressure on the boss if she's not focusing on the 2 water spiders. And unfortunately for me, she got distracted a lot in my other attempts.
You are one with ALLMIND. No one can stop you now.
I said I don't care about ALLMIND. Want some of this? I'll give it to you.
Also, whenever the fighting would get too cluttered, I would back off and wait for the boss to re-engage me. Doing this also allowed Ayre to get some really good pot shots against ALLMIND. and whenever the opportunity would present itself, I would always be ready with my pulse blade to deal that massive damage. And now me and Ayre continue doing this until we reach the final part of the fight, which is when the final boss reaches about half health.
This is your chance, Iguazu.
Adam, shut up! I'll shut you up!
It's resonating.
Alright, so for this final part of the fight, it's just me against Iguazu. And during this part, almost any type of melee attack hit used against me is a possible death sentence.
They're gone. They're ringing those stupid voices.
But luckily for me, his attacks don't hit well vertically, so I abuse that advantage as much as I can. This also occasionally allows me to hit him with my melee attack. And I have to use my pulse blade because I know I don't have enough ammo for the rest of the fight.
Raven, now's your chance.
Iguazu, dispose.
I know how this goes. This is where that grit of yours kicks in. It was always so easy for you. The old Jen who could do it all. But
Also, I found that whenever his animation shows that his blades are short, I can somewhat safely melee attack him. And whenever it shows long blades, it's pretty risky, as he can just do a follow-up.
Right shoulder ammunition at 10%.
And after sheer perseverance, this arduous journey is over.
I did it again.
I always
I hate myself.
envied you.
The fight lasted about 5 minutes and 29 seconds. I got destroyed 130 times. Yeah, I'm not putting that all in the video. Here, just have the worst ones I've suffered. And if things didn't go my way, I restarted the mission about 30 times, and my total time with attempts was about 10 hours and 26 minutes.
Are you fucking serious? No, come on. Oh shit, dude.
This ghost.
We have the trigger. And we'll pull it ourselves.
Alright.
Fun fact, it took 3 days to record this final part of the challenge run. The first day I attempted for 2 hours, the second day I attempted for another 2 hours, and for the third and final day it was 6 hours. Holy hell, it was horrible. I can also see that I started to rage around in the 2-hour mark of the third day. But that's it, folks. I have beaten Armored Core with the OG build, or more specifically the Loader 4 build. This run was pretty easy at first, but it started to get pretty difficult once I reached the Enforcer boss. But honestly, it wasn't that bad for the most part, but maybe except for Ayre and especially ALLMIND. Honestly, the only reason why I continued doing ALLMIND was because I saw someone else do it on Reddit. So then I thought, hey, if he could do it, then so can I. And well, I was right about that, and I also did it 2 times. It's a shame I didn't record the first time though. God, I died on the inside when I found out I wasn't recording the first time I beat him. Oh, and one last thing before the outro, I'm open to suggestions for future challenge runs. So if you have an idea for a challenge run, just post it down in the comments below. Well, this has been Warnock Gamer 4, and make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell notification for alerts when I post a new video. And thank you for watching this video and my previous videos if you have as well. Later.
It's lore accurate now.